I'm the Book Baron. Welcome in, everybody. I keep trying to film the intro of this video and it's not going well. I think it's because I'm feeling a little bit extra chatty because I haven't really chatted with you guys in a hot minute because I haven't had a vlog recently and a lot of my videos have been pre-filmed because in real time I just got back from Austin where I spent Christmas with my family. It was a lovely 85 degrees and now I'm suffering in this, in this Seattle cold snap. So we're just keeping it comfy cozy because the last couples I got dressed up. You know, I just can't be bothered at this point. December was a rough month. It was just a wild month where it was just so many unbelievable things kind of happening back to back where I'm just like, I don't know how much more I can take. So anyways, I'm feeling a little bit chatty. There's a lot going on. So hopefully you guys are along for the ride. I also wanted to note I'm testing a new mic. Have a hard time usually getting mics dialed in no matter how high the quality. So if you notice the audio is kind of peaky, just know that I will get it corrected eventually and we'll have the crispiest, best audio soon. But for the moment, there might be a little bit of variability in the quality as I get a little bit more familiar with this mic. What are we doing today? So that I've rambled for so long. Today we are talking about my priority reads for this year. Now I was almost gonna say month. That's just a TBR. And also my goals for 2026. Didn't have enough goals to really warrant having a whole video dedicated to it, so I just thought I'd tack it on to the end of this video. And then in terms of priority reads, 10 seemed to work pretty good last year, so I think I'm just gonna stick with that. I think there was still one book that I didn't get to, but I pretty much got to everything else, so 10 feels like a good number that's like manageable for me because I'm a mood reader and an Aries, and I just simply cannot be told what to do, even by my own self. I don't even believe in astrology, but I will blame my worst behavior on it. I don't know how people are doing these like 26 books. Like, how? Can I have some of that? Where do you get it from? I don't think I could do that. Anyway, again, we're feeling a little bit chatty. It does not help that I've had a full pot of coffee and I am now drinking some Coke. I don't know how to transition into talking about the books, but let's just jump into things. So first things first, we have the Off Balance series. Well, not necessarily the series. I do at least want to get to the first book, and this is by Lucia Franco. I'll get my little fingers out of the way so you can actually see that name. This is a sports romance. It's forbidden because it's coach athlete. So I'm gonna keep this a little bit higher level because I feel like a lot of people know what this book is / have already read it. But this is about Adriana, and she is a gymnast. She has the goal of going to the Olympics. She ends up going to like an Olympic training camp away from her parents so that she can train full time. And that's where she meets her coach. Hold on, is that misspelled? I have so many questions. Okay, I need to explain what's going on with my brain right now. So it says that the coach's name is Konstantin Kornikova. Okay, let me explain why my brain is freaking out right now and I is having a hard time with this. For anyone who doesn't know, Slavic last names, not all but most, have a feminine and masculine version. Kornikova is a female last name, so that would be like his mom would have that last name and his sister would have that last name, but him and his dad would have like Kornikov. I'll be curious if there's an explanation for why that is, because I know sometimes when boys would naturalize with their mothers in the US or other like Western countries, that they would just make them all the same. So I'll be curious if there's an actual explanation for this, but I thought he was Russian, like from Russia. So I don't know why he would have Kornikova. I digress. We just off-roaded so hard and we're only on the first book. What is going on? Anyways, he's her coach. They butt heads. She's a Spitfire. He's very exacting. And then eventually things kind of turn into more as they're on the road to the Olympics. But anyway, I have been meaning to read this for years. I'm a former gymnast from like way back. And I know that the author is too. So I know those aspects are going to be well done. I'm really excited to see gymnastics represented in a book. I've also heard that it's top tier toxic. That's another thing that I'm like, sign me up. I want to know more. But I am just a little bit nervous only because it is super, super popular. It's like 5 or 6 books. I don't know. It's a long series and I have a habit of falling off after like 2 books on most series. So send prayers to the goddess. And then also that the heroine kind of starts out slightly unlikable, but because there's so many books that she'll have a big character arc and will be maturing over this time. But anyways, yeah, now that the hype has died down, I finally want to get to this first book. All right, hopefully I can do the rest of the books a little bit more rapid fire. The next one that I have for you is Voracious by Lee Rivers. Unalivers. This is the second book in the Edge of Darkness trilogy. This is a proper series. It's a dark romance. It's like hate to love, to enemies, to lovers. It's second chance. This is about Cade, and he absolutely hates Stacy in the present timeline. She did something absolutely forgivable in his eyes, and that is crush his heart. But he cannot escape her because Stacy is best friends with his twin sister, which has led to kind of an unhealthy obsession that Cade has with her and watching her every move, including unaliving literally any man that gets anywhere remotely close to her. But they are caught in this very complex web where they are puppets and other people are pulling the strings. And then things really heat up because they end up going to visit his serial unaliver father in the US. And that means he is even closer to Stacy than he has been in years. But again, there's still like, there's people pulling the strings behind the scenes. So it's not as straightforward with them getting back together. Plus, we have a lot of fifis to work through. I didn't end up continuing with the series after the first book because I was in the middle of just an insane amount of travel. And I wanted to give this series the proper time and attention so that I could actually enjoy it. I know that this one's supposed to be flashback heavy, and I'm really excited for that because I loved their awkward first love. And so I'm hoping to see more of that because it was really cute. And I just need more backstory into like how they got themselves into the mess that they are in currently. Next up, I have Surviving Rain, and this is by Shay Savage. This is the first in a duet. It's a survival contemporary romance. The premise for this one is that Sebastian Stark is a captain of the boat catering to the elite. He sails on the Caribbean. He's a loner, he's an alcoholic, and a bit of a fuckboy. So when the boat capsizes and he is stuck on a life raft with one of his passengers, and that passenger's name is Rain. Now these two have to survive together while he's suffering from DTs from the lack of alcohol. And in these circumstances and constant contact and needing to work together so much, even the stoniest people can't help but open up. And it turns out they have some shared trauma in their background. I'm really excited about this one because I loved Transcendent from her. Or Transcend? Actually can't remember. It's a caveman romance. It's so unique. It defies tropes. It's all internal monologue of the hero. There's no dialogue because he can't understand spoken language. So fascinating. Even when I was reading Commodity, which I did end up DNFing, I just didn't love the premise. I was reading that and I was like, oh man, I really miss her writing. I love how she writes. So I'm excited for a love story about survival. I like the forced proximity that it provides. I like that the most unlikely people have to team up and tackle kind of the common enemy and have to survive together and gather food and shelter and water. Like, I just love when things are kind of stripped back. And so you really have to have that chemistry, and it's like them against the world. So really looking forward to this one. Oh, next up is one that every time I see the cover, I'm like, I can't believe I haven't read this already. It's The Surrogate by Penelope Ward. This is a standalone. It's a slow burn, forced proximity surrogate romance. So the hero Sig lost his wife some years back, but his wife froze her eggs. And so his in-laws are like, we want grandbabies. We will even raise this grandbaby. And this was our daughter's dying wish. So we want to make sure that it comes to fruition. And that's where his late wife's good friend Abby comes in because she agrees to be the surrogate for him. But these two end up really butting heads despite this very selfless act that she's doing. He's still mourning his late wife, and he doesn't really trust that Abby would just be willing to do this out of the goodness of her heart. But eventually he does learn to trust her, and it unveils some very intense chemistry. So this is one from the time that it released. I have heard nothing but good things. I know that Monica from Pardon This Book Addict and Sam from Sam Reads a Little have both recommended this one and have raved about it in the past. So I'm really, really excited to get to this one because of that. It's just one of those, like I said earlier, that every time I see the cover, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I need to read that one. And then it just slips back into the recesses of my TBR. Putting it on my priority reads will give me that little extra nudge, that little extra reminder that I need to actually get to this bad boy. Next up, I have one that is a newer interest, but wow, does it have my attention. And that is Survival Instincts by May Donnie. This is a post-apocalyptic sapphic romance. So our first heroine's name is Lynn, and current civilization as we know it fell long before she was born, and there's lots of scary, dangerous things, but the most dangerous thing of all is mankind, especially for a woman that's alone. And that's all well despite former zoo animals being out on the loose and breeding. So she's learned to really survive on her wits, alone by herself.
Basically just raised myself using my wits and my tits.
With her dog along her side. But when she needs to go into New York City, this is a very dangerous journey. She ends up going with a guard named Danny. I have no idea how this guard situation comes about, because if she's a loner, it's not like there's a group. So I'm like, did she hire her? I don't know. I have so many questions. But regardless, they go on this journey into New York City, and Lynn starts really questioning whether being alone is the best way to survive, especially as feelings start to bloom. As you may or may not know, I have a big old boner for post-apocalyptic and dystopian novels. I like the survival element. I like the stripping down to the basics. This was one that came up not only because I saw it on a couple of primarily sapphic romance accounts, but also when I was digging into romance.io, which is like my new favorite thing. Oh my gosh, you can get so hyper-Pacific. What am I, a toddler? Am I also gonna say biscotti too? Good Lord. Anyways, you can get really hyper-specific, and I was like, I want post-apocalyptic. Is there any that are sapphic? And there is! So I'm really excited to get a sapphic spin on a post-apocalyptic romance, because I feel like a lot of them are MF or MM. And this one has rave reviews, so I am really excited to get to this one. Next up, I have Homebound. I almost said Homeward Bound by Lydia Hope, and this is the first in an interconnected series. It's a sci-fi kind of prison planet adjacent type of book. So the premise for this one is that Earth is declining. So the most wealthy citizens have already left Earth. They're out, they fled the planet, leaving kind of the poor, the destitute, everybody else. Gemma is one of those citizens.
You remember Gemma, huh?
Hi, I'm Gemma. I'm British. This is my pig squeak.
Yeah.
She's British too.
But anyways, she works at a prison. It houses very ruthless, very dangerous individuals, and she's specifically, got it right that time, assigned to the alien ward. And this is where she meets Simon, which is an oddly human name for an alien, but I'll allow it, Your Honor. So it sounds like he's being experimented on because something about his body or DNA has created a bunch of breakthroughs with research, but this has also led to him kind of like dying alone and kind of wasting away in complete isolation. Our heroine ends up taking pity on him and starts to try and nurse him back to health. She's really doing this while ignoring a lot of rumors that he's extremely high risk because he hates people. And frankly, I would too if I was being experimented on. Gemma, sweet Gemma, has now just provided him the ultimate opportunity to escape. This is another one that's more recently come on my radar. I've just had this itch to explore more in the sci-fi romance arena. I tend to lump those in with monster romances, which more often than not always, tend to go really saccharine for my taste, but I've read some grittier ones, and so I want those. So I'm hoping that this one will deliver on that. This also seems to have a small kind of cult following or very niche following. It also seems to be highly recommended for people who love Aries Smith. I do love her writing. So I'm hoping that this one is going to be a banger. Speaking of Aries Smith, our next one is The Last Hours of Gone. This is a standalone sci-fi romance. This is about our heroine, Amber, and she left Earth with nothing but her sister and a one-way ticket onto what I can only describe as the Mayflower of spaceships. It's giving colonizer. They have a one-way ticket on this ship. They go into a stasis. That's how far that they're going. But instead of waking up and arriving on the planet they're supposed to, they wake up to wreckage on this unknown world. And they're so far out, there's no hope of being rescued. So they don't know what they're going to do until they are discovered by Merak. Hopefully that's correct. And he is a holy and very deadly warrior. What a combo. But he protects them from the beasts on this very hostile planet. So he is what is called a sword of Sewell, an instrument of judgment for his god. So it sounds like maybe it's some sort of like trial by combat maybe, or he's an executioner. I can't really tell. It says something about him being the victor of hundreds of trials. So that's kind of where I'm drawing that from. And conqueror of rights over all men. That's why I'm kind of thinking it's like headed in kind of like gladiator combat style trials, but I don't know for sure. It also sounds like his father had some sort of holy position or was considered a deity or maybe a channeler of some kind, because it mentions that with his father passing, they no longer have divine intervention. That's where I'm kind of thinking that kind of comes in. But anyways, he now has to completely change his life with the death of his father because he needs to become the steward of the house of Urain and give up the life that he has been been living when he finds these humans on this pilgrimage to a temple hoping to seek deliverance from his current circumstances. Instead, he finds the ultimate test in the form of a human named Amber. So hopefully I got those details right. It was a little hard. There's a lot of reading between the lines, but it sounds like it's going to be so good. In general, I just want to get more into Arlie Smith's backlist. I put this one on my priority reads in particular because I knew if I put a shorter one on there, then I would never read this one because I would just never prioritize it because it's going to take me a month to read. It's like 1,000 pages. I just know it's going to take forever and there's no audio to help me along. But after reading The Land of the Beautiful Dead, I'm like, you know what? I've got this. And like I said, I want to read more sci-fi romance in particular. I don't want straight sci-fi anymore. Anytime I'm reading a book, I'm like, but what if leads smooched? Wouldn't that make it better? I just love how sci-fi explores like aspects of culture and ethics and morals, but when it's done through the lens of an alien species, it's a little bit easier to kind of explore things in a slightly more abstracted way rather than talking about like real actual events and things that happen in real life. You know what I'm saying? And based on the writing that I saw in Land of the Beautiful Dead, I know that the writing's gonna be beautiful too. I am very excited to get to this one. I have already been warned that certain places are very slow to the point that some people were like, I really want to DNF this bad boy. So I'm going in prepared that this is just gonna be a little bit of a slog that I'll love, a labor of love. And honestly, that blurb sounds so good that there's like a little part of me that's like, even though it's still technically December, do I just skip right to reading that and just like go for it in January before I chicken out? Maybe. Next up, in a completely different vein and a very bizarre one, we have Knotted by Pam Godwin. This is the first in an interconnected series. It's a dark cowboy / Western style romance. So our hero's name, nope, our heroine's name is Connor. Nailed it. Our heroine's name is Connor. Our hero's name is, what? Is that a sentence that I can say? Yeah, that's a sentence. Our hero's name is Jake. Why does it sound weird? I need to move on. Anyways, they are childhood sweethearts. They have all their firsts together. And when they are teens, it sounds like Connor is brutally assaulted while Jake is helpless to watch. This ends up tearing them apart. And years later, Connor comes back to honor this pact that they had as teenagers. But when she finds Jake, he has completely changed. He's this very ruthless cattle rancher, knotted with secrets. Oh, ew, Miss Pamela. I could have done without that pun. Anyways, I want to dip my toe back into some more like cowboy western stuff. I really strayed away from it. Didn't have the greatest experience when I tried it before. And I don't like regular cowboy romances, so I'm hoping Miss Pamela will not steer me wrong. I even have, despite not having read this series, I have a special edition bind up of the entire series that is untouched. So definitely feel like I need to read this one. Plus, I just need to start really finishing out Miss Pamela's backlist because I have pretty much started all of her series, I think now. Oh, actually, you know what? There's one that I haven't gotten to. Anyways, I just need to make my way through her backlist. I love her writing. I love how untropey her romances are. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also a little bit prepared for this one to be not my favorite because a lot of my friends rated this only 3 stars. So I'm preparing myself to not love it a little bit too, but I have a lot of hope because I love Miss Pamela. Okay, next up is one that I cannot escape for the life of me. It's everywhere, and it's Capone by Laquelle J. So it's a first in a season. So this seems to be part of a greater universe where there's multiple seasons, there's different like interconnected series. It seems to be somewhat serialized. It's a dark romance. And I'm gonna be honest, this blurb is a whole bunch of nothing. It's so many words that say almost nothing. The gist of it is Capone is our hero and he is drawn to our heroine, Erin, despite the fact that he shouldn't be because, and I quote, she's his brother-in-law's first love. So I'm really curious about how the that makes her forbidden. Maybe it's like a rose before hose type of situation. I don't know. That's the entire synopsis. I'm just too damn nosy for my own good. This book has been everywhere. It's been on my Instagram. I get it recommended to me on Goodreads, on Storygraph, even seen it trending pretty much every time I've gone into Hoopla. This book is everywhere and I need to know what it's about, okay? I'm hoping that this one works out because if it does, these books are shorter and they seem like they're pretty high impact because a lot of the reviews were like, oh my God, what the hell did I just read? The last 20%, oh my God. So I'm like, those are the perfect types of books to like pull you out of slumps. When you don't know what to read, you can just like default to that. So I'm really hopeful that this is the start of something good. All right, and is this the last one? Finally, Finally, one that I need to get to because I appear to be the last person that is not on this hype train, and that is Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. So this is another book I can't escape because the movie series brain has rotted from all the cheese we ate over the holidays. Yeah, it's a TV series that just came out. Seems like everybody's watching it, reading it, hyping it up. So I feel like I'm genuinely the last person in the book space to give it a go. So I'm gonna keep this super brief. Basically, we have Shane, who's like golden boy, perfect reputation, very talented. And he is always pitted against Ilya, who is the captain for a rival team, but total opposite. He's cocky, he's a showboat. And they've made a career kind of out of being rivals on the ice, but then things heat up off the ice, hence the heated rivalry. I'm done. I'm so sorry. And then they struggle with how to pursue this relationship with just kind of like being in the public eye and, you know, having a secret relationship and a public rivalry and, you know, all of that. So anyways, this is again a case of I'm a nosy bitch. I gotta know what this is about. I haven't watched the show at the time of this recording, but I am planning to, hopefully soon, now that all the seasons are out. All the episodes are out for this season anyway. I'm hoping it's as good as I'm picturing because like honestly, all of the edits and videos and interviews with the actors that I've seen, I'm just like, it makes it look just so deliciously tense. And I love MMs with a ton of tension. Like I think of Garen Park where they are like truly rivals and they're like, but wait, I'm kind of horny for you. So what does that mean? And how do we proceed? It worked so good in there. So I'm hoping that it's going to be like that, but hockey and probably with a lot more money. But anyways, those are my priority reads for 2026. So now to get into my goals for 2026 are really surround primarily one thing. I just want to branch out more. I feel like this past year, I was focused a lot on just kind of like binging authors and getting back into some backlists of authors that I loved and just kind of giving myself permission to do that. And I still want to do that, but I feel like with some of the slumpiness, I kind of like got a little bit locked up where I got nervous to try new books, new authors, especially from a lot smaller authors. I also want to be a little bit more intentional with targeting like BIPOC and LGBTQ authors. I don't know. I miss the joy of finding a new author that I haven't heard a ton about that I really connect with deeply because I feel like I haven't really had that in a minute. And especially after kind of getting a little bit of taste of that with Arlie Smith, I'm just like, I want more of that. But I think beyond just wanting to branch out more, I really want to push myself. I know it sounds weird. I want to push myself to read books with ugly and dated covers because I have a tendency, especially with like pre-2019 books, where I get scared off by the cover very easily because I'm like, oh, that's hideous. I feel like there's a lot of gems from that like pre-2019 indie published books that are just kind of left behind, but they're like untropey. They're pre kind of those like trope marketing pushes. I think the bottom line is I just want to poke around more. I just want to like really put some elbow grease in to finding specific books that I think are going to fit what I'm looking for and not just constantly leaning on Instagram or Goodreads or Storygraph to just like feed me what they think I want. I want to go out and intentionally find more stuff. And so I'm like hoping that those kind of parameters, those very vague parameters, are going to help me to be able to do that. I also want to do more rereading. I feel like I don't let myself reread books very often. I do like to do it for my birthday in March, but other than that, like I just don't tend to do it a whole ton. And I want to just like let myself do that. And I also want to make sure that I'm not pressuring myself for all books that I read to fit these goals too. Still want to allow myself to mood read and just, I want balance. That's the big thing. I want to be intentional, but I want to be balanced about it so that I'm not putting a ton of pressure on myself. And this isn't really reading related, but it's sort of like reading community adjacent. I want to continue to stay off of Threads as much as possible. No scrolling on Goodreads and really curate who I'm following on Instagram and limit my time there. I have just found in the past year when I started doing all of that, just protected my mental health so much better. Not being chronically online, it just warps my sense of reality of like what's important. And I think when big things, frustrating things come up in the community, I can keep a little bit of emotional distance, view it more as like an outsider rather than feeling like I'm caught up in the middle of it. So I want to continue to do that, even though it does kind of limit my sense of closeness with the community, which I do kind of miss, but I don't know, the mental health benefits are just, they're too good. They're too good to even want to pass up. With all of that, those are my priorities for this year. I would love to hear from you. What are your priority reads? What goals do you have for 2026? Tell me anything and everything about what you're hoping to do in 2026. And with all of that, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to like this video if you did end up liking it despite all the rambling. And don't forget to subscribe if you would like to have more content from me. I would love to have you back for another video, and I really, really hope I see you on my next video. Bye-bye!